my name is Terry Muller. I'm from Muller's Paint and Paper in the village of Caledonia. And we're here today to bring Terry's tip to you, the viewing audience, and how it kind of got started a few years ago. I was encouraged by a newsprint salesman to take some of our ideas here at the paint shop and put them into the newsprint. And we came up with the name Terry's Tip. Initially it sounded kind of a little bit odd to me, Terry's Tip, you know, my name's Terry. Anyway, we went ahead with it. And we've had a nice following, short little informational tips, tidbits, money-saving ideas for the homeowner, for the contractor, related to the paint business. I've been encouraged now to bring it to the small screen, and I really consider it an honor to be here today and present a tip. And this tip today is called Roll Lightly, is what the newsprint tip was called. And so we're going to talk about rollers. Not so much brands, but we're going to talk about sizes, naps, how thick the roller cover. All of it kind of eluded me. Back in the 80s, I was in the lumber business and selling lumber, building supplies full-time. Back in the 70s. And then in 1980, I was approached to get into the paint business full-time. And I thought, boy, I don't know. I accepted the job with a local paint firm, and in hopes that they wanted me to take care of one of their stores in the next year or two. Well, took the job, kind of backed away, thinking I'm going to be bored selling just paint. I sold it as a sideline. But what I have found, 2 years later, I took the job, by the way, in 1980, full-time paint. And then in 1996, we came to Caledonia, which is where I'm from, and opened up Muller's Paint and Paper. And just the opposite has happened. As I've gotten into paint full-time, I find it extremely interesting, extremely involved. And to do the job for the customer, for the painter, for the consumer, and to do a good job for the homeowner, I really need to understand it, and there's a lot to it. So today, our Roll Lightly, Terry's Tip, is just going to be talking about roller covers and all that goes along with that. So why do I want a 1/4-inch roller cover, 1/4-inch nap? That's the height of the pile of the fiber. Why might I want a 3/8 roller cover, a little bit thicker? Why might I want a 1/2 inch or a nice big fluffy roller cover? What purpose does that serve? Do I want a little short one? They start at 3 inches. They go to 4 inches, which is the size I'm holding in my hand. They go 3, 4, 7, 9, 14, and 18. Why an 18-inch roller cover? Kind of cumbersome, kind of heavy when you're holding it out overhead. Why an 18-inch cover? So hopefully today we'll get a good understanding of the variations in covers and what I want to do a specific job. So first of all, I would like to say, in reference to the choosing of roller covers, you walk up to an average paint shop roller rack and you're kind of overwhelmed. You think, oh my, where's the clerk? I need help here. I see all these rollers, and my little wife sent me out to get a roller cover for the job. We forgot it, and I'm overwhelmed. So I got to see Terry. I got to see somebody at the paint store or hardware store to help me choose. Very simple. Flat paints, which would be usually put into your living room, your more formal rooms, a flat finish we're talking. Eggshell finishes, which dominated the market in the last 30 years. A chicken egg luster, the paint, chicken egg sheen. So flats and eggshells, living rooms, bedrooms, hallways. What nap do I use? I want a 3/8 roller cover. I want that pile to lay that paint out and produce a flat look. Also used, like I say, for the eggshell finishes. But if I'm going into the bathroom, we're going to paint the living room this weekend. Next weekend, we're going to tackle the bathroom. But do I use that same roller? No, you want a 1/4-inch. 1/4-inch roller covers are designed for satin finishes and semi-gloss paints, and even high glosses. So the shorter the nap, the higher the sheen of the paint. If I were to use a short nap roller, that's what I had, and I put on a flat finish, it wouldn't lay that flat fiber of the paint to produce a flat look properly, and it would actually dry with a little sheen. And you got it at the paint shop and you bought flat paint, and all of a sudden my paint ended up dry on my living room wall with a little shimmer, more shimmer than I thought I had purchased. Well, one mistake, or one thing you might have had, is you had a kitchen roller cover for a living room paint job. So flats and eggshells, 3/8 nap. Very simple, one nap, one roller pile height. Satins, semis, glosses, those would be for your washable areas, or more serviceable areas, your kitchens, your bathrooms, your workshops. You do with a little bit shinier paint, 1/4-inch roller cover. Well, why any fluffier than that? Well, let's say we're painting our ceilings, and I would maybe go for a textured ceiling. The customer comes in and said, "Hey, Terry, I'm doing my ceiling." My first question is it a smooth ceiling or is it a texture? "Oh, it's textured." Okay, well, how textured is it? Well, it's a popcorn texture. It's a very small, kind of a, we refer to it as popcorn, a kind of a commercial short pile, short nap texture on my ceilings. Well, then you would just use your regular 3/8 roller cover. You might step up to a 1/2 inch. No, I really think it's a little thicker. I've got a stomp ceiling. I've got the contractor did it when we built the house, and he used some kind of a tool, and he stomped it, and I got like kind of large points hanging down from my ceiling, often referred to as a stomp. I need something a little thicker to get into the nap of the ceiling. So depending on the profile or the depth of the surface you're painting, might be a block wall. Well, you wouldn't paint a block wall with a short nap roller because it wouldn't get into the crevices of the block. That's where I would go to a 3/4. 3/4 in most applications is about as thick as we go. Now still we're talking about the height of the pile, the depth of the fiber of the roller cover from its core to its end. This one I'm holding that you can see here, this purple one, 3/4. The only really occasion I might go any fluffier is this big fat roller cover. This is 1.25 inches. I was traveling out M37 here a few summers ago, and I saw some workers out doing a chain link fence. I stopped, said, "Hey, how's it going? And you got the right rollers and stuff?" And just kind of wanting to encourage their paint job. It's a pretty daunting task, painting a lot of chain link fence, wire fencing. That's when you use 1.25 inches. It's about the only time you'd use 1.25 inch nap roller cover. Chain link fence, where you really got to get into the profile. And they also carry a lot of paint. So fluffy rollers for a textured surface on a ceiling, 3/4. They go up to 1.25 inches, but typically just for an outside, either a block wall application or maybe a chain link fence where you're trying to cover both surfaces from one side of the fence. So we've talked about naps of rollers, the thickness of the pile, 3/8 for flats and eggshells, satins, semis, your kitchen finishes with a 1/4 inch. Those are the two main sellers available at all your local paint hardware shops. Still on the technical side of the roller cover, we have woven roller covers and knit roller covers. Okay, woven roller covers typically are a little more on the pricey side. You might spend $3 or $4 for a knit roller or a woven roller cover where the fiber is woven into the core of the roller, and then we've got them that are knit in. And why is this one, or even a 1/4 inch, might sell for $3 or $4, and I can buy a big fluffy purple one for that $4, maybe $3 or $4, $5. And boy, that's a lot more cover. Well, it's a little bit cheaper, a little less expensive on the manufacturing side to produce a knit roller cover. Often when you're on a job and you're putting on your final coat and you see a little peeling or a little fiber on my paint job, I'm thinking, "Oh no, honey, what happened? I've got my walls all kind of rough and I see parts of my roller cover." Well, what has happened is you've gone and you've purchased, with not good counsel, you've purchased a knit roller cover for finish paint, and knit roller covers pill. Well, it's okay when they're used for where they're designed to be used, which would be your thicker surfaces, block walls, cedar siding. The knit is not a big issue, and they're affordable, a little less expensive to make. Typically, the 4-packs 2 to 4 packs. You might even get a 10 pack of rollers, and you might spend $10 at a store. Stay, folks, away from purchasing for interior finish paint anything in the packages that are for the package of covers, let's say 4 of them, for $5. They are knit covers, so they're going to pill. They're very inexpensively made, and the fiber per square inch, I don't know if you can see it on the camera here, but if you separate that, much like a good quality brush, a lot of bristles in that stock of that brush. The cheaper the brush, the less bristles. Cheaper the roller cover, number one, they're knit, they're going to pill, and there's not much fiber per square inch of roller core. So what's going to happen? I'm not going to have very much carrying capacity. I don't want to dip into my roller pan more often than I need to. Well, if you buy a good quality woven roller cover, a lot of fibers per square inch, woven into the core, it's not going to leave off on my finish paint. I'm not going to see the lint or the fuzz, and the added benefit is it's going to really carry its weight of paint, so it's less times to the roller pan to pick it up. Now, why is that important? Well, I don't want to prolong the paint job. Number one, I've got a lot of projects to do. I want to get it done in a concise, timely fashion, and if I'm walking back and forth, my paint is drying. One, just also a little extra tip within a tip, when we're rolling, we want room temperatures cool. We want, where we're working here for our show tonight on Terry's Tip, we've got the room probably 70 degrees. We've got lights going. But think about this in a small bathroom where you've got work lights and it's kind of a small area. The thermostat's set at 65, 70. That bathroom is 75 degrees. What I encourage folks to do is just, if you break a sweat, you want to paint, you want to do your project with a t-shirt. I mean, you want to be cool. So if you come home, you've decided to take the day off, typically it's done in off-season where the weather's cool outside, you got the furnace going inside, and you come home and the house is typically 65, 70, 75 degrees, way too warm for painting. Open a door, crack a window, chill, turn the thermostat down, chill that room out, let that room get 60 degrees, way less roller marks, less tracking on ceilings with roller marks because my paint is drying slow. I've got the right roller cover to carry the amount of paint I want, but my room is too warm. Very important tip, cool the room while you're rolling. Why would I choose a 3-inch, a 7-inch? We talked about the different heights up to 18. Well, that's for the area that you're trying to paint. If I've got a nice big wall, I really don't want to do it with a little 4-inch because we're going to roll across that surface way too many times. I want to do it with a 9. So 9 is your normal roller cover for living rooms, bedrooms, average size rooms, 12 by 12 bedrooms, 12 by 20 living rooms. Some of the consumer industry has gone to a 12-inch, and we kind of here at Muller's and most of your full-time paint shops, we've had the long ones, 14 and 18, right along. We kind of avoid those wider ones for consumer jobs because quite often our homes with drywall construction, the surface is a little bit dippy, and if you go to a, not real even, I should say, and so if you go to a wide roller cover and you're trying to cover a wall that maybe has joints, drywall joints, tape joints, spackle areas, you're going to get skips or holidays where that roller cover is too wide. So a 9-inch can really outroll even the wide ones because you're not going to have skips or holidays. So 9 is pretty common. Why a mini? Well, again, the size. We used to call these long johns, and very simply we had to get behind this toilet, behind the john, to paint, behind that tank without calling a plumber in to take the tank off. So we had long johns. Well, we sold a long john or two to a painter maybe a few times a year. They'd wash them out and reuse them. Now this mini business is really big. They're very convenient. They carry a good amount of paint. One is got a closed end and a smooth rod, slips right in, pushes on, and it's got a closed end on it. This one, a 4-inch, also like this 4-inch, has got a regular frame on it. And it's got open end, slips right on. And I really sold these for years maybe by the time you buy the frame and the cover, you might spend $5 or $6. With this frame and that mini cover, I might spend $10, or the customer that I'm taking care of might have to spend $10. Well, the difference is this is a woven, a knit cover, so it's going to pill a little bit. It's on a smooth rod, remember, kind of just a small shaft, and that works good. It gets into tight areas. The closed end is nice because you can roll against two surfaces, the wall that you're painting and then the corner, and it catches it, so it eliminates a lot of brush work. It carries the paint right into the corner. But the downside to this $5 or $6 packaged priced roller, knit, so it's going to pill a little bit. And why the $10 combo? This rolls like ball bearings. I mean, it just no hop on the wall. It's a woven cover, so it's not going to pill. It doesn't carry the paint to the end, but the advantages are way faster painting, really smooth roll, no hop, and it carries a nice amount of paint. Okay, so on the mini business, we like the hair, the regular polyester, nylon fiber covers. Microfiber is the latest one, versus a foam roller. I don't have one here today to show you, but the foam roller is very popular. You see the poly brushes, the little black foam brushes, where you can buy a foam roller cover. We really don't even stock them much. They're harder to find, harder to come by at the paint professional shops. The consumer stores have them. Customer says, well, I want that smooth finish. I'm going to grab a non-hair, or I'm going to grab a foam roller cover. Well, it's going to give me a smoother finish. Two things happen. Foam produces air, and the latex waterborne paints today dry quite rapidly, and if I'm putting air as I'm rolling, I'm going to get air bubbles. And if the room's a little warm, I didn't catch that tip at Terry's tip, and my room is 70, I'm putting on a traditional latex paint that's drying very fast. I've got a foam roller because I really want a smooth job, and I come up with all air bubbles. And as my husband comes home, or my wife comes home to see my handiwork, she said, oh, what's all those bubbles on the wall? Well, it was that foam roller cover. So they don't carry enough paint, they put air in the finish. They were originally manufactured for oil-based paints, or what we refer to as long alkyds, alkyd meaning oil, petroleum-based paint thinner cleanup. Those paints stay wet many times longer than a latex paint. So the foam, produced a nice smooth finish. The air bubbles were still there, but the paint stayed wet so long that they popped and dried to a nice smooth finish. So foam rollers, folks, try to kind of keep those off to the side. Maybe let's just not use them. And if you have one, you may have had this experience and you're thinking, oh yeah, that's why. So foam, we kind of stay away from. Okay, quite often I'll have someone come in and they'll say, well, Terry, I've got the frame, I've got a cover, but my roller cover is sliding off my frame. It won't stay on. As I'm painting, that thing starts to slide off. I better get a new frame. Well, no, what you really can do, I mean, I'd love to sell you a frame, but just take that 5-wire. These are 5-wire frames. There's 4-wire frames. This one sells for typically maybe $4 at a paint shop. A 4-wire frame, one less wire, less investment of material. They might sell it for $3 or even $2, but a 4-wire frame doesn't hold that core very tight, okay? Now this one is a little bit loose, and the reason it's loose is I grabbed the wrong one. There's different diameter core sizes also, but only one company really offers that. But let me get back to how do I fix that roller that's sliding off as I'm painting. The store's closed, it's after hours, I don't want to get out and run into a 24/7 store necessarily. I'm in my paint clothes. Take that roller frame, that 4 or 5-wire preferably, and just bend those bars out. Pull them out, and that'll snug that roller cover right on nice and tight. It won't slip off. Okay, so the roller cover sliding off, just typically extend those wires on the frame. Old frames, no problem. They're good. You can still use them. Now the roller cover I had here that I'm holding in my hand has put on quite a few gallons. The first time we painted our shop, now 16 years ago, here in the village of Caledonia. And I show this at classes, at clinics that we've held here at the shop, and I'll hand this out to the audience. I'll say, no, ma'am, just hang on. See how soft and pliable that fiber is? This is put on probably 15 gallons of paint. This roller cover, still great. They used to have cardboard cores that wouldn't withstand water. Once or twice and the cardboard started to go. Then they put on what we call a phenolic core, which was a coated cardboard, and those withstood washings. And now we have actually plastic cores that are totally water resistant. But this roller cover, I just checked with my son, who has put on now just shy of 30 gallons with this same roller cover. Well, how do we do that? I get a new roller cover every time I paint, and I throw it away. Well, if you take a little bit of time, maybe invest in what we call a roller spinner, what happens is you put your roller cover on the roller spinner, get a spin-out bucket. While that paint is loaded on that roller cover, maybe you've had a little disposable glove, put it on, or a little paint rag to get it on this frame when you're done, this roller spinner, and then spin all the paint out of that roller. This is the brake. Get a little water. Once you've spun the bulk of the paint out, spin it, break it, a little more water. Do that 2 or 3 times. That's how these cores last. And when you spend $4 at a paint shop on a roller cover versus the multi-packs that are knit, they're going to pill, they're very inexpensive, they kind of mess up the paint job because they're leaving lint. That's one reason you spend the money on a woven cover. And do I use this time and again? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. This can be used many, many gallons. This one in my hand, again, just shy of 30 gallons of paint on block construction. So roller spinners, use your cover, extend your frame if the roller's sliding off. I think that will cover. Oh, that's one thing I was starting to say, and I kind of got sidetracked with another thought. That tip that we were talking, roll lightly. You want very little roller pressure when I'm rolling. If someone were to walk into the room and I'm rolling, I'm doing a job, home alone, I thought, and somebody walks in and kind of wants to see how their room looks, or my wife walks into the room and I don't know she's coming, I might literally drop that roller right out of my hand because I'm not really holding it with much pressure. That's why I personally want to avoid or caution the customers. I sell them a roller stick, a roller handle, whether it's an inexpensive $3 wood that screws on to the roller frame, which are all pretty much the same diameter. They all are threaded cores, whether it's a 4-wire $2 frame or a 5-wire $5 frame or a good contractor frame. They all have the thread to receive the handle. But when I'm rolling this and I'm doing that textured sealing, I've got my fluffy roller cover, everything's right, I think, but I'm applying way too much pressure. I want a light touch with that roller cover, and if somebody walk in the room and I didn't know it, kind of alarmed me, I might drop that roller right out of my hand because I'm wanting to move fast. I want that paint to dry. I've got my room temperature cool. I've got that room temperature at 60, not 70. If I walk in, I'm ready to paint, the room's too warm, just open a window, chill the room right out. 15, 20 minutes, you're ready to go. 60-degree room, 55-degree room. Light roller pressure. If I paint with too much roller pressure from a paint stick to reach my surface, which is fine, and I lean into it, I'm going to leave uneven roller pressure, and they'll say, hey, Terry, I got my sealing done, I got full of lines. Well, 2 things have happened. Your textured sealing is porous, maybe, and it's not sealed well, and so my paint's striking in ununiformly and producing a roller mark, or more often than not, my room's a little warm, I'm using an extension handle, and I'm putting way too much pressure on. Then I get paint heavy on one side or the other. So roll lightly, not much pressure. And I think the last thing I'd like to just share with you is the industry has made a little bit larger core, a little bit larger frame to cover more surface with the same amount of rolling action. And it will cover 25% more surface because my core size is bigger. Really good balance. I'll use my 3/8, ½ inch, 3/4, whatever the nap I want, but it's a little bit bigger diameter. So the industry offers jumbo frames, mostly sold to the commercial contractor for a little bit quicker rolling application. Carry a little bit more paint as I go. Okay, well, thank you. I hope I was informative. A lot of information about roller covers, sizes, naps, sizes, widths, minis, regular covers, frames, 4-wire, 5-wire. A lot about roller covers. If you want to look at this same Terry's tip in written format, visit caledoniacable.org, and you can read this entire segment. And I really appreciate the viewing audience, and come back and view some more of the Terry's tips. We'll be covering a lot in our industry to save you time and money. Thank you.